Hello, my name is Robert Moore, and I'll be giving you a presentation on firearm safety. Throughout my life, I've pretty much grown up around guns ever since I was about 6 years old. My dad would take me out and take me shooting, playing around, but he mainly enforced on that I was safe when handling a weapon. I also joined the Marine Corps about 5 years ago, so I've had a lot of interactions with different guns and different situations. And I want to give you a story. There was one time in MP school where we were qualifying for a pistol, and the announcer called everybody to cease fire. And what this meant was that everybody quit shooting, puts their weapon on safe, and holsters the weapon. Well, one guy didn't do that, and the shot ended up going off and pretty much scared everybody on the range, and so he got kicked off the range for that. And it was because he didn't put the weapon on safe before he tried to holster it. The first female president of the MRA, National Rifle Association, was Marion Hammer, and she once stated that a lot of children know very little about weapons, and what they do know comes from TV, and these are the wrong things. Small Arms Survey of 2007 stated that the United States owns 270 of 875 firearms known in the world. This will mean that every 9 out of 10 people in the U.S. could possess a firearm. This graph was taken by a poll in Virginia of unintentional firearm deaths that occurred in 2003 to 2006. And as you can see, males account for 92% of these deaths, while females account for only 8%. And from this, what I gather is that either males are more likely to be around weapons to where this could happen, or that females are more careful with weapons and take more cautions whenever holding them or firing them. This graph breaks it down into many different things. There's 3 different contexts in which unintentional firearm deaths resulted. The first is playing with the firearm, hunting, or showing the firearm to others. And then the graph is broken down into 2 parts, whether the blue side is the handgun and the purple side is the rifle or shotgun. And as you can tell, whenever people are showing them to others or playing with firearms, they're most likely to be handguns. And then with hunting, people don't hunt with pistols, so that would be the only reason for that. This next graph shows the average annual firearm deaths and injuries of all ages. And this shows that in the year of 1999 to 2000, 800 people died unintentionally from firearms. And over 23,000 people were hospitalized because of firearms. On the other hand, this graph shows the total accidental deaths in the USA in 2002, where motor vehicles are listed to be 44.3%, and firearms are only 0.8%. Next, I would like to cover the 4 firearm safety rules. I learned these in boot camp, and I use them still today. First, you want to treat every weapon as if reloaded. To demonstrate, when you pick up a weapon, you first want to release the magazine. Then, you want to check the chamber. You can also lock it back by pulling that slide up. And you want to visually look in the chamber to make sure there's not a round in there. And if it's in the dark, you can stick your finger in there and, physically inspect to make sure. The second firearm safety rule is never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. This means that you don't play around by pointing guns at other people, or after you get off the range, flagging everybody. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the weapon pointed in a safe direction. The third safety rule is you want to keep your fingers straightened off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Whenever you go to pick up the weapon, you don't want to, grab the trigger or anything. You keep your fingers straightened off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Plain and simple. The next safety rule is keep the weapon unsafe until you intend to fire. This means that if the weapon's laying around the house somewhere, you're not using it, it should always be unsafe. And after you get through shooting and are taking a break or even a breather, you should put the weapon on safe. The last thing I'd like to go over today is some precautions that you might want to take in your household if you have children and guns. First, you want to keep the weapon in a safe place. You want to keep it locked up in a gun safe or in a gun cabinet, or you want to keep it out of the reach of children. Another thing to do would be to keep the weapon and the ammo separate from each other. Don't have that magazine inserted. Have it in a different spot than the pistol. And lastly, I wouldn't let the children know that there are guns in the house whenever they're young. I would wait till a mature age till, they understand what weapons can do and that they can hurt people and that they shouldn't play with them. But to wrap all this up, I just want to emphasize on the 4 safety rules. 1, never point a weapon at anything you not intend to shoot. 2, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. 3, keep your fingers straightened off the trigger until you're ready to fire. And 4, keep your weapon unsafe until you intend to fire. That concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?